One of the differences between the two films, which is apparent before they are even seen, is their length. 8.5 is approximately 50% longer than Umberto D, lended to the fact that post-economic boom moviegoers had much more free time to devote to watching films. The Italian people's newfound wealth had a significant impact on the plots of their stories. While Umberto D centers around an old man whose troubles derive from his financial difficulties, the main character of 8.5, Guido, is a film director whose problems arise not from any financial burden. He even pays $2 million for a set he never uses, but from his deteriorating sanity and tendency towards dishonesty. Whereas Umberto D begins with workers protesting for higher wages, 8.5 begins with one of Guido's abstract dreams. Guido's dreams are sprinkled throughout the film, blended in with reality with no special transition. Some dreams act as the transition between two real ones, such as the especially long dream Guido has of being the king of a harem. The first scene is of Guido sitting at a table with his wife Luisa, who is insulting his mistress, Carla. Guido begins to daydream that his wife and his mistress are actually good friends, which evolves into the longer dream. As the dream ends, we catch up with Guido watching the screen test for his film. As the film progresses, the barrier between reality and imagination becomes weaker and weaker, until the two are fused in the finale, in which Guido finally achieves happiness. No such dreams are present in Umberto D. Dreams bring hope, and the old man, Umberto, is hopeless. Rather than ending in happiness, Umberto D finishes in sadness. However, a similarity in the endings can be seen. Both films have a final climax just before the ending. Umberto tries to throw his dog before a speeding train, but the dog escapes. Likewise, Guido kills himself with a gun underneath a table, but it ends up only being his imagination, a demonstration of what he feels like doing. This kind of symbolism is seen throughout the film. Almost every shot has multiple levels of meaning. However, this trait is not unique to 8.5. In Umberto D, the protagonist's room is symbolic of himself. The wallpaper texture represents the churning of the stressful and worrisome thoughts that constantly occurs through Umberto's mind. When his landlady demolishes his room and tears down the wallpaper, we see a change in the way that Umberto behaves. He becomes silent and depressed, a contrast to his usually emotional self. One of the cinematic traits most prevalent in Umberto D is the use of camera angle, or tilt. A very significant number of shots are positioned close to the ground, looking up at the characters, the ceiling, or the surrounding buildings. It often seems like the elements of the frame are oppressing Umberto. Umberto is often happiest in the buildings with high ceilings, such as the hospital, or up against the clear, sunny sky. Umberto D has a very classic cinematic style. It is often said that after Umberto D, nothing more could be added to the genre, most likely due to a lack of creativity brought on by Italy's economic ruin. After Italy's economic boom, filmmaking brimmed with creativity and expression. 8.5, in stark contrast with Umberto D, has a somewhat avant-garde cinematic style. Many shots are extended in length, moving and panning about smoothly and slowly through a scene, often during the dreams. One shot has the camera pulsating in and out from a face. Many other shots in the film have the camera zoom in towards some things, or make other interesting movements. Another interesting difference between the two films is brightness. 8.5 begins by nearly blinding the viewer with almost entirely blown out shots, a far cry from the gloomy shots of Umberto D. The bright shots of 8.5 are happy, and remind the viewer that the film is not afraid to be vibrant. Another stark difference between the two films is their use of music. While Umberto D accompanies the film with somber music that matches each scene well, 8.5 uses a wide variation of musical themes that vary in tone, that not only go alongside the visuals, but add to them with their own meanings. Overall, Umberto D is a much more down-to-earth story, focusing on the everyday struggles of a diseased pensioner. 8.5 follows a more modern set of challenges for the protagonist to overcome, while celebrating Italy's economic and artistic modernization.